doing the honey dry run, wet run, wet run. So there's two things you gotta do first. One, this is how the wax comes out of the hive. When it's nice and ready to harvest, it's got this white outer coating on there. I gotta cut that off. So I'm gonna do 3 methods today. My tried and true, where I just use straight edge knife. I've been seeing people doing it online with serrated ones. I want to give it a shot. And we're gonna go in here and finish draining. I'll collect those in the bowl because fun. And then later on, I'll melt the wax. All right, we'll go on the other side. All right. So my old tried and true. Normally I've got a bigger bucket set up for this and I don't do it straight into the strainer, but I'm only doing 2 frames and we're doing filming and all that, so life is hard, deal. No? Alright. Balance is weird. We'll just do it on the catch tray and I'll deal with it later. Normally going from the top here, and just kind of slice off that outer layer. Thank you. Honey is sticky. Why am I sticky? That's fine. I get all the low spots and then even places. And the reason I take just the cappings off is because it's easier to extract just the honey that way. With old bubbles. But also what I'm going to be able to do is then take this frame, once the honey's out of it, and put it straight back into one of the hives, and that's just that much less work the bees are going to have to do before I can take more honey. Later in the year when I'm taking a lot of these frames at once, I'll wrap them in plastic wrap and store them away for the new hives in the spring, which will allow them to build out their numbers quicker too. That went pretty well. Why am I sticky? A couple of low spots in here. But that's all the stuff that the spinner's going to get off, and I'm going to filter it on the way out of the spinner. Option 2 with the serrated knife. A lot of the guys I've seen doing this, I'm going to flip the whole thing over. It's easier to work. And I'm leaning it forward, so hopefully the wax will fall away from me. I like that. Now this side was more in the middle of the hive, so you can see it's got these low spots. I'll clean those out with a spoon. If I damage some of the wax, it's not a big deal. The bees will rebuild it to wherever they want it. Because they are industrious little buggers. You know, I feel like that worked a little bit better. I may stick to the serrated knife. Can you grab me? Then we just get in here, kind of schmutz it out. The less damage I can do, the better. So that one's ready to go in the extractor. I'm going to leave it over here on the... Too many things in my hands. You go there. You go there. You go there. And that is all nice clean wax. It'll melt out clean. I won't have a lot of schmutz to deal with. I like it. Only got a little bit on the counter. Yay, cleaning up honey. Because it's fun. Alright. My very first years of doing beekeeping, when I only had, 3 or 4, 6 frames to do, what I would do is I would dig really deep with a spoon and then just completely crush this out all the way to its bottommost layer. And then just run everything through the strainer at once. But it was wasteful on the wax. You can see where it leaves a lot of honey in there. Spoon is not a delicate instrument. Ooh, yep, messy. This one, we'll see if we can get the knife in it. Do. If you look at this really nice light colored honey, it's going to be all left over from spring stuff. A lot of clover in here. Tulip poplar was one of their big crops at that time of year. A few others. honey tends to be a bit more floral, a little less viscous. In the fall, ideally, what I'll be doing when I'm doing processing dozens and dozens of frames a day is I'll actually be doing this in the garage. I'll set up a clean area to do it, which is a bit of a process, but worth it. And keeping it at about 90 degrees for a day before doing it, which decreases the viscosity or the thickness of the honey, so it's easier to work with. All right. If you want to pause it there, we're going to run out to the garage. All right. So if you want to swing over here, we're going to put these in. Oh, that one's heavy. Sideways, and there's 2 little bars in the very bottom that this is going to sit on, more or less upright. And that one goes on there. Mmm, sticky. Sticky, sticky goodness. Slap the covers on, just in case, because why get honey places I don't want honey, right? These I can squeegee up and collect them. And this is not the cleanest area. It's not I'm going to do my big harvest, but this is just going to be personal consumption. I don't care. It's a little sawdust, whatever. Oh, that's so good. All right. And then we just spin it. If you look at it. All right, we need to weigh it down with bricks. There we go. I'll just hold down. You can see the honey just kind of whipping out against the side walls there. I'll do this for 2, 3, 4 minutes on the side. I'll flip them over because it's only really pulling it out from one side at a time. I consider getting one that they were going to be more spoke-like, and that's the build one I'm going to build later. This will only handle about 4 frames at a time, and you can see it's a manual process. But I give it a little bit extra, and I can let it run on its own for a few minutes. So I can do other stuff with my spare hands. Yeah, look at it. And once everything's out of here, what I'm going to end up doing is going through with like a rubber spatula, scraping it down. I'm going to pull out the cage, scrape it down the side walls, and then collect it. If you come over here, when this thing gets really full and I'm doing 4 frames back to back to back to back, I'll open this up and then it'll pour out into a bucket with a filter, and be fairly easy to collect. Whee! Yeah, you can see it's starting to collect down there in the bottom. The hotter it is, the quicker it'll flow. Whee! Just because I want to see it. Yeah, definitely going to have to weigh this thing down. I may even go so far as to build a large stand for it, because there are holes in the bottom of the foots, so I should be able to bolt it down. But this is already so much easier than my bucket. Whee! And it is hot out here. Let's see how these are coming. Yeah, it's not all off of there. I'm going to give it a few more minutes, but you can see where it's whipping it out of all the cells. Everything I read from people using these is that it really doesn't matter how fast you go with these, so long as they're moving. Just the viscosity of the honey just takes a little while for it to work its way out of the stuff, out of the combs. Machine singing. Yeah. That is pretty well empty. These dark spots are where they put a little bit of pollen in there. You can see that side's still completely full. So we'll flip it, which is something I had to do with my smaller extractor too, so I'm kind of used to that part. This is a really narrow one. There's not a lot on there anyway, but hey, I'll take it. Honey's honey. Do not stick fingers in the moving gears. real clean. There's still a little bit of residue on there. I'll wrap this up for when next time I go to one of the hives that needs some extra comb. But, yeah. That's fucking brilliant. That's fucking brilliant was what that is. You see these, just the 2 frames, didn't really fill in the bottom all the way. That is the only thing I don't like is in order to get this last probably half a 3, 4, 5 pounds of honey out of here, I'm going to have to tip the whole thing over. But that'll be, the last frames of the day on any given day is get them out of here, clean it out. Yeah, no, I like it. I like it a lot. This was a good investment.